Rotary is an incredible organization that, in my opinion, is a stamp of approval. Once you receive a grant from Rotary, others look at you differently. I have had the privilege of receiving quite a few grants from Rotary, and it really brings you to a different level, and I just want to thank Rotary for all the support. The other thing is Rotary as a group. I had a whole resource of people I could call and ask, what do I do? How should I think? What can we do together? So not only is it the Rotary dollars, but the resources of the people involved in Rotary are really important to me.
Overlake is a 349-bed hospital that serves the east side. We're known as a regional medical center because we offer care to everyone in the Puget Sound area. And we are actually led by a volunteer board. So that's really nice because it's a not-for-profit organization. So Bellevue Rotary supplied us with a grant that allowed us to have what we call comfort and activity carts. These comfort and activity carts have everything from Sudoku puzzles to headphones, newspapers, decks of cards, activities to keep people cognitively stimulated while in the hospital, as well as to help pass the time and hopefully ease the loneliness. The Rotary has an amazing reputation, and it lends so much legitimacy to organizations when we can say we have the Rotary support. The Rotary has offered us grants to support our operations and provide us with additional resources to help care for patients and their families.
LifeWire is the largest and most comprehensive provider of domestic violence services in the state of Washington. We've been serving survivors on the east side since 1982. The pandemic has been horrifying for survivors of domestic violence. If you think about what it means to shelter at home and how much home is not a shelter if the people you're sheltering with are threatening, controlling, abusive. At the very beginning of the pandemic, our phone lines went silent because it wasn't safe for people to call for help, and that was an extremely scary time. Our advocates responded with such creativity to find ways to reach out to survivors by text, by email, by using code words. And throughout the pandemic, we have continued to respond to people who have continued to have ever-escalating needs. We did twice as many domestic violence protection orders in the last year. We did twice as much financial support because every way that the pandemic has impacted people, whether health or loss of jobs or other kinds of economic downturns, isolation, all the things that have impacted people during this pandemic have increased the vulnerability of survivors. Bellevue Rotary has been in partnership with us for 25 years, and annually since 2006 you've been giving us grants, and we know that we can come to you every year with those really specific, concrete things. We know that Bellevue Rotary likes to support capital things, and there is always a thing that we need. So some years it's furniture for the shelter, and some years it's a new refrigerator, and one year it was help building a playground. And so every year, we talk in our directors team about what is the thing we need this year that we know we can go to Bellevue Rotary for. Last year during COVID, you also did an additional grant of $5,000 to help us with some of those basic needs for families who couldn't pay rent and couldn't buy food. And there was so much community response, and we were so grateful to Bellevue Rotary for being part of that overwhelming community response that helped us do twice as much financial assistance because it was so desperately needed. And that financial assistance meant that there were many survivors who didn't have to go back to abusive partners because we could help them pay rent and buy food.
Really thanks to the funding that we've received from Bellevue Rotary. I think I mentioned earlier about just our homeless shelter. We expanded our homeless shelter to being 24 hours, which is quite an ordeal. But the funding we were able to get from Bellevue Rotary, coupled with the staffing adjustments we were able to make, we are the only youth and young adult shelter on the east side. An example of that would be partnering with folks like Bellevue Rotary Club, which has contributed 9,300 meals to over 4,300 young people. Bellevue Rotary exists to act locally and make a difference in the areas of of the community that are, I would say, hardest hit and have the largest impact. So that is really great, being a local agency, looking for a like-minded partner who's thinking service about self, but also looking for what's the biggest impact we can make. I think working with youth, a lot of folks say our youth are our future. I would say our youth are today, especially as contributors. And I think everyone who, especially in this part of the world, or this place we call home on the east side, Bellevue, I think we all remember when we were youth contributing towards Bellevue and making it the wonderful place it is. Thank you, Bellevue Rotary, for all you do.